Welcome back to Dukascopy TV. I'm Darren McDermott for a special look at the cinema sector. Well, we all enjoy heading to the cinema to watch a good blockbuster hit. So to talk to me about this today is Gregoire Michaux from Redwood Capital. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
So, Gregoire, do you think the cinema sector is actually underdeveloped, and what sort of growth opportunities do you think exist?
So the cinema sector that we've seen, at least in the financial sector, is that it is underdeveloped. It has a lot of potential for growth, and especially in the, let's say, underdeveloped countries. You have major countries such as Russia or China that are looking at growth that are in the teens, so between 16 and 20% growth year over year. And this depends also on the screens that are in the country. The more screens, the more they're going to be able to target more people and introduce it to more people. Hence, you're going to have more viewers. And it never stops. Then you would have also the independent movies that are just all the way there. They're just waiting for financing sometimes, and they're just coming and coming and coming. And just people are looking for financing and looking at producing their movies.
And looking at independent movies, now what are the major risks and challenges for independent movie makers?
So most of the independent movie makers are trying to raise money because they all have ideas, whether they're great or not. They all have ideas that are it belongs to them, to their culture, to their areas of focus. They want to show people some ideas. And countries have helped out a lot. They've given, some subsidies for the countries, for the producers to create their movies, but it's not easy for them. And especially nowadays where, you don't find money that easily. And before, you used to have some fiscal policies that would help. For example, in England, they would have fiscal policy that would help finance these movies. They would help investors have tax deductions through financing of movies. So that was a major thing for movie producers. Now they don't have this anymore. So most of them are looking, mainly they're investing their own money and they're taking that risk, putting their own money down and not having the right sponsors and things like that. Making a movie is pretty expensive for an independent, producer.
And so what are the challenges then for blockbusters?
So, the challenges for blockbusters are the same as for independent. They're still looking at raising money for their films, their scripts, and everything at the same level as independent movies, but they're looking for a lot more money. But what we're seeing in the cinema market now is a huge discrepancy between the amount that independent movies have to raise and the amounts that blockbusters movies have to raise. Now, what we're talking about here is independent movies will look into raising within $40 to $80 million, when blockbusters will look at raising $200 to $400 millions of dollars. There needs to be that checklist for these blockbusters to raise that much money, that much capital. It's going to be the right producer, the right scriptwriter. Do they have a track record? How is it going to work? How is this going to affect the market? Is it targeting a group of people that has already in the past made money and audience in that sense? So there is this challenge with independent movies where they don't really have a track record because most of every independent movies are different from one another. When blockbusters movies are not as much. They're looking at family. They're looking at, getting your dad, your mom, the two kids. So they're having already 4 people going in the movie theater just for that movie because they're taking the kids to them. Action movies, with, action stars. And these are recipes for money that independent movies don't have because of that independent, feature. That's what they're facing. Well, that's what the challenges they're facing.
And looking at Asia, now there has been huge development in the cinema sector in Asia. So what is the potential growth?
So in terms of growth, you have a market of billions of people. So if you catch a percentage of that population, it's a huge market. Now, what the government is doing, it's regulating the system. They don't want all these foreign movies to be in the country. So, for example, now you have a quota of 34 foreign movies that can be in the country. Hence, all these movies, all the other movies that would want to be in there cannot be in there. So we're talking about probably 13 or more movies that were from Hollywood last year that entered the market. And these guys made about 90% of the foreign movies revenues. So if you think about it, 13 movies last year are nothing compared to the whole blockbuster list that you've seen. And some movies had to be put back on 2014 because they couldn't enter that 34 quotas. Now, we're just talking Hollywood movies. We're not talking any other movies when I said 13. So there's potential growth here that is huge. We're talking about a market of about 10 billion yuan that was in the first half of 2013. And out of this, almost half was foreign movies and / Hollywood movies. So there is a huge growth there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Dukascopy TV. Now do stay tuned as we have plenty more interviews heading your way. See you soon.